Hey everybody, I'm Bianca Saeed and this is Motherhood Empowerment. Today I want to talk to you about a fear of mine, a few fears of mine, okay, and how I'm dealing with them. If you're here on my channel, you are very likely nonconformist, unconventional, unschooly, natural, follow God, fuck culture kind of woman. So that being said, you're likely a maverick, trailblazer, someone who does things on their own, opts out of the systems, medical education and otherwise, and you're a trailblazer. And I find that as a trailblazer, confronting all of my own generational trauma and experienced trauma shows up in really weird ways. And this isn't even just my own experiences and my own what I carry with me because of my genetics, but like just being a human too, being a human mother in the modern world. So I'll start by telling you a story. I went for a hike yesterday. Who the fuck is beeping outside? Somebody's just backing up incessantly. Anyway, so I went for a hike with my kids yesterday. This is always something that I fantasize about, being out in the woods with my kids. That's just, I love it. Like, just being out in the woods with my kids, walking a trail, having them be surrounded by earth and not loud city noises and not crowded by people and their stupid expectations and rules. I adore the idea of taking my kids for a hike. Similar to, I adore the idea of taking my kids swimming and stuff like that. I'll get into that later, but yesterday I went for a hike. Now, I usually refrain from doing this. I usually talk myself out of it because a few reasons. First of all, everything inside of me says that the world is not a safe place and that there's predators everywhere, both, human and animal, that there's, people that are out to get us as vulnerable women and children. And I realize by saying this and by thinking it that like it creates more disempowerment. I get that, but it's still real and it's still terrifying. So I usually refrain from this because I just envision it happening, right? Like I envision driving up there, the whole thing with kids, like, they're wild. They're not contained. They're not something you sense danger, you push a button, they go limp and silent and light and you can carry them to safety with no, kids, they like to yell. They like to stop on the trail. They like to talk to people on the trail. They like to pick up rocks and throw them. Even the small ones, like they might like to play with a baby bear. You know what I'm saying? Like they're unpredictable and there's so many lessons in that, but it particularly concerns me when I take them out somewhere and I am afraid of something being outside of my control. Not being able to protect them, right? Like this is like a fear every mother has, right? But within that is like, there's this thing inside of me. It's like, you can't just sit at home in relative safety and not do anything with your kids and not experience anything. And not because of what anyone else thinks I should do, but because of how I want to look back on my life and how I want my kids to remember their childhood and what I want to remember moving through instead of avoiding. And being out in nature is something that's so important to me. So I know that the payoff would be big if I moved through this fear. So I took them, and there was a few scares just because I don't do it often and there weren't many people out there. So, I didn't know if it was relatively isolated and there was, bears or, we're like prime fresh meat for a human predator to watch us and, sneak up on us or whatever. But, I prayed and I I took my protection items, my weapons, and I stored them safely in my bag, and I had snacks and water. I was ready. Like I was prepared as much as I could be. And still, as we were walking, I was thinking these things, and a guy was coming up behind us, and I was like, go to the side, and I got my knife out, and I got my pepper spray out, and I put it in my pocket just in case. And I also got my phone out. I'm like, let's make Dad a video and get this guy on camera real quick. And I'm very protective of my children, but I also think the culture that we live in overemphasizes all of the bad things. And to me, I'm like, oh, I'm just being prepared. But in reality, the likelihood is probably a lot lower than I feel it to be. And so we continued the hike. Everything was fine with the guy, There was no bears that we could see or that we encountered. And, a few times I felt myself getting really tense and frustrated because I was trying to listen. I was trying to be aware and pay attention. And this happens a lot to me. If I'm out at the store or something, I'm trying to be aware and pay attention, and my kids won't stop talking. They won't stop making noise, or they won't stop trying to walk further ahead. And I'm like, stop, I'm trying to be vigilant, and they don't understand that concept. And my daughter kind of does, and I don't want to make it so that she's just absolutely paranoid, but man, it's hard to balance those two things. This fear also comes to me when I take them out to stores by myself, when we're out at night, and when we go to bodies of water, especially the ocean, because there's this feeling inside of me that's like, I am not more powerful than the ocean. She's much more powerful than I am. And balancing that knowledge with being prepared, with also trying to teach the children to be smart about things, right? To be careful, like to not be too reckless, to be wild but not reckless, and to trust their own bodies and their own instincts, but also like, how old are they? Because I'm their guide for a reason. And oh my gosh, it's such a balance, women. And what I learned through all of this is that, I can't control everything. And I certainly can be as prepared as I can. And then I just need to breathe through it. The only way to feel better about it is to do it. See it through to the end, and sit with the fear, sit with the discomfort and the sense of, even that rising sense of panic, sit with it. You have to go through it to overcome it. And the more times that you do it, the easier it becomes, the more familiar with the scenario, situation, whatever it becomes, such that you can be more prepared. And there's this YouTuber that I like to watch, Haley Outside. I'll put her link in the description. Because you need to watch her. She was going through a hard time where she was a solo parent for a while, and she just took her kid hiking, her baby hiking. So she knows the ins and outs. She knows everything about hiking outside with kids, all the cool hacks and stuff. And I look forward to learning more from her. But she's an inspiration to me daily, to try to get outside and go do things when it's just me and the kids, and I don't have our, male protector with us, or I don't have, a big old bazooka to protect us with, so check her out. And I encourage you, what you're afraid of, if it's something similar to what I'm afraid of, pray about it, get prepared, and move through it. You'll find that you're a lot happier with yourself and feel more capable and confident and better, and just so proud of yourself and your kids when you're able to move through these things that you feel called to do, these things that you feel like you are supposed to be doing, it feels right, but there's fear there. So I just wanted to share that with you today. Please let me know if you've had any of the similar experiences down below, so we can talk about it. Bye, women.